When we think about rap, most of us picture block parties in the Bronx, turntable scratching, and MCs trading rhymes in the 1970s. But the roots of rap stretch much further back. They wind through African oral traditions, work songs, blues rhythms, and unexpectedly, through the battlefields of World War I. In the mud of the trenches, on the streets of Harlem, and in the music halls of Paris, pieces of what would one day become rap were already being shaped. This is the untold story of how the Great War became an unlikely chapter in the prehistory of hip-hop. In 1914, the First World War erupted, pulling millions of men into one of the deadliest conflicts the world had ever seen. The Western Front was a landscape of trenches, mud, rats, and constant artillery fire. In such conditions, survival wasn't just about food or shelter, it was about morale. Soldiers found creative ways to cope with fear, boredom, and grief. One of the most powerful outlets they had was rhythm. Trench songs became a central part of life at the front. These were often satirical, filled with gallows humor, mocking military leaders, or parodying popular tunes of the day. They were passed around orally, improvised, and reshaped on the spot. The rhymes often had a punchy, percussive quality, much like the freestyles we associate with rap. Soldiers spat out verses to keep their spirits up during long marches, to drown out fear under shell fire, or to bond with comrades. For example, one popular trench verse mocked the endless stalemate of trench warfare. We're here because we're here, because we're here, because we're here. The repetition carried a rhythm, a beat, a kind of minimalist poetry that resembles a chant at a modern-day rap battle. While not rap in the musical sense, these soldier verses reveal how rhythm and wordplay helped ordinary men survive extraordinary horror. At the same time, African American soldiers brought with them centuries-old traditions of rhythm and spoken word. Before the war, Black communities had preserved a culture of call and response, work songs, blues poetry, and church sermons rich with cadence and rhyme. These forms were direct ancestors of rap's lyrical style. When the United States entered the war in 1917, the 369th Infantry Regiment, better known as the Harlem Hellfighters, was deployed to Europe. They were not only soldiers, but cultural ambassadors. Led by bandleader James Reese Europe, the regiment's military band carried a new sound across the Atlantic: jazz. Jazz was more than music. It was energy, syncopation, improvisation. It gave performers freedom to riff, to bend notes, to speak through sound. In many ways, jazz was to the early 20th century what rap would be to the late 20th, the disruptive voice of a generation, rooted in African American creativity, demanding to be heard. When the Hellfighters performed in Paris, crowds were electrified. Parisians danced to rhythms they had never experienced before. For the first time, Black American music was not just confined to Harlem clubs, it was global. And within jazz's improvisation and rhythm, we can hear the seeds of rap, a performer riffing on a theme, weaving stories through sound, commanding attention through rhythm. Another thread connecting World War